Hey everybody, I'm Justin with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing the PowerStop OE replacement kit available for all 2019 and newer Silverado 1500s. Now, if you guys are looking for, I would say, one of the easiest and most affordable ways to freshen up both the front and rear brakes on your 4th gen at home, the PowerStop OE replacement pad and rotor kit will certainly be a great option for you. Now, the PowerStop kit will include 4 brand new blank rotors in addition to the company's ceramic compound Z17 pad, along with fresh hardware and everything else needed for the install, all for right around that low to mid $400 price point. Now, if you guys didn't know, PowerStop does offer a nice assortment of budget-friendly pad and rotor kits here on the site, ranging from basic OE replacement type stuff, which we just so happen to be talking about here today, all the way down the line to their more aggressive Z36 Extreme truck and tow setup, which is the company's most aggressive of the bunch and will include things like a more aggressive pad compound along with the slotted and drilled front and rear rotors. Now, getting back to the OE kit that we have here today, again, very basic, very bare bones, if you will. And that's going to make this a perfect option or stock replacement for the budget-minded truck owners who are looking to, again, freshen things up but don't necessarily need any extra firepower or anything fancy. But getting into construction and quickly breaking down some of your individual components, let's start off with the G3000 grade cast iron rotors, both front and rear. They have been given a light coating to help prevent any corrosion over the years, and they have been 100% mill balanced to prevent any inconsistencies, vibrations, basically anything you don't want to have happen with brakes after the install. Now, moving over to your pads here, guys, again, this is going to feature their basic ceramic compound. And again, it's going to make this a great choice for a lot of daily drivers, family haulers out there, because it's going to deliver a combination of low noise and low dust, which really isn't always the case once you start getting into those more aggressive kits. Now, that low noise can be had thanks in part to the dual layer rubberized shim here on the back, and that's going to be working with the chamfered ends and slotted middle pad design. Again, working for a nice quiet design and also one that's going to be very, very low dust. Now, finally, guys, PowerStop does kick in brand new stainless steel hardware for basically a 100% factory fresh replacement that leaves no stone unturned in your Silverado's braking system. Now, I do also want to point out here, guys, that PowerStop does include a 24-month or 24,000-mile warranty on their components here, which is pretty awesome in the world of aftermarket brakes and something that you really don't see all that much. Now, your price point here for the front and rear setup from PowerStop will live in that low to mid $400 range for the OE kit. It's going to put this a little bit lower than PowerStop's Z36 kit, which is their heavy duty truck and tow system. And that does come with heavier duty components, of course, more aggressive pad compound, and those slotted and drilled rotors. So if you were on the fence about upgrading versus just replacing with stock components, definitely consider some of the other options here on the site. Do some price comparisons between the two. And while you're there, check out some of the C&L stuff as well, because C&L does also offer a few different ready to go pad and rotor kits that will offer a nice upgrade over your stock components for a little bit less than the PowerStop stuff that we're talking about here today. Now, as far as your install is concerned here, guys, well, obviously brakes are pretty basic in the land of automotive wrenching. However, there is a fair amount of work to get both the front and rear setup knocked out. So the site's gonna go strong 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and roughly 3 hours or so to complete from start to finish. But now let's throw it out to the guys in the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need a breaker bar, a 3/8 extension, a 1/2-inch ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet, an 18 and a 14 millimeter socket, a T30 torque socket, needle nose pliers, a rear caliper tool, a front caliper tool, brake lube, a caliper hanger, a rag, and brake clean. All right, today we're going to be installing some brakes on our Silverado. But first we're going to watch a couple of videos how to uninstall the stock brakes, and then we'll come back here to install the new ones. But first, before we start on the uninstall, just make sure that you put your parking brake into service mode.
Now we can remove the 2 caliper mounting bracket bolts from behind the caliper using our 18mm socket and a breaker bar. Now, once you've got them broken loose, then you can switch it out for your 1/2-inch ratchet and go ahead and finish taking them out. Now we can go ahead and lift our caliper off the rotor, making sure, of course, that we support it on some sort of a hanging device to take the stress off of the hose so that they don't break. Now we can remove this retaining bolt here using our T30 Torx bit and remove the rotor. Now we can go ahead and remove our pads from the caliper. To start, we'll need a small flathead screwdriver to remove the spring clips that hold the pins in place. To do this, you just pry on the clip to release the tension and just slip it out. Now you can remove the retaining pins simply by pushing on the back side. Then you can use a pair of needle nose pliers to go ahead and pull those out. And the anti-rattle clip should come along with it. Now you can go ahead and pull the pads out. And disconnect the wear sensor from the inner pad, simply by pulling it out. First thing we're going to do is disconnect our wear sensor connector right here on our brake pad. And to do that, we're going to use a pair of needle nose pliers, and we're going to grab a hold of this, pop it out, and then remove the dust cap from our bleeder screw here so that we can get our whole wire out of the way. So we'll grab our sensor here with our needle nose. You don't have to grab it too hard, and just pop it right out. And once we've got that disconnected, we'll go ahead and remove this dust cap, and then the whole thing will just flip right out of the way. Put that back on just to make sure it doesn't get lost. Next thing we'll do is remove these two bolts, one at the top and one at the bottom for our caliper. And we'll do that using our 14mm socket. Now with those two bolts removed, we can just slide our caliper straight out. Now with the caliper out of the way, we go ahead and slide our pads out. Now we'll go ahead and remove our caliper mounting bracket using our 18mm socket. So we've got two 18mm bolts, one here at the top, and then another one down here at the bottom. So we'll use our breaker bar and an 18mm socket to get that started loose. Do the same thing for the one at the bottom. And then once you've got them started to become loose, we'll switch over to our 1/2-inch ratchet. Now we'll go ahead and get the top one. And then just slide the caliper mounting bracket out. Next thing we need to do is remove this retaining bolt here using a T30 Torx bit. And you may want to use a long screwdriver or an extension to hold it still. while you break this loose. And once you've got that removed, you should just be able to grab a hold of the rotor and slide it right off. Now this particular kit does come with a replacement wear sensor here, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to take that off. And we're going to disconnect it right here at the top of this bracket. What you're going to do is reach back and pull on the gray locking tab, pull it out till it releases, and then push it down to actually release the connector. Now here's your gray locking tab. So once you've got that slid towards the front of the vehicle, then you're just going to push down on it towards the outside of the vehicle, grab a hold of your connector, and pull it right out.
All right, what we're going to do to start off here in the front is we are going to compress our pistons on our caliper. What I did was I threaded the bolts in for the bracket just to hold it in place, just so you're not fighting with it, holding it. So once we got that up, we're just going to put an old pad in. All right, and then we are going to grab our front caliper tool. All right, we'll slide our front caliper tool in between and compress the pistons. And then we can discard our old pads. All right, what we're gonna do before we put our rotor on, we're just gonna take some brake clean and clean off the oil and residue off the rotor. And spray it on our cloth, just clean off both sides. All right, now that we have our caliper hanging back out of the way, we can install our rotor. Just make sure you line it up properly so our T30 screw can go back in the hole. All right, and just grab a ratchet and tighten that down. All right, now we are ready to install our caliper. We're going to take it off our hanger, slide it over the rotor, and then reinstall our two 18mm bolts that we took out. All right, just grab your ratchet and tighten them down. All right, we can now install our new pads. What we're going to do is we're going to grease up the ends where they will slide on the caliper. All right, the only difference for the inside pad is when you put it in, you will need to plug in the wear sensor after it's in there. It's gonna be very hard to see, but it will clip in to the pad like this on the back side. All right, and then we can plug in our wear sensor. All right, now we can install our new supplied pins and clip. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide it through the top first, put our clip in, make sure it locks onto the top of the bar, install our lower, and then just push our clip down around the bar, and then seat the pins all the way. And then we can install our locking tabs onto our pins. All right, now you just repeat that same process for the other side. All right, before we put the new rotor on, we just want to do one thing. The rotor does have a little bit of oil and residue on it. So we're just gonna grab some brake clean and a rag and just clean off both sides of the rotor. All right, we're now gonna put our rotor on. Just make sure that you line up our hole for our T30 torque screw to lock it in place. Then we can go ahead and install that screw. All right, now before we put our bracket on for our caliper, what we want to do is replace our clips. They come with new supplied clips. Just make sure you orient them the same way that you took them off. So they just lift off. And then just push on. You can do that for this other 3 clips on this bracket. All right, now we just need to compress our piston. So we're gonna grab our rear brake compressor tool. It actually spins it in, doesn't just press it, so it is a specific tool. Ours is actually pretty pressed in because our pads are about the same size, but I'm gonna show you briefly how to do it. So you're gonna slide on, lock up the tabs, and then spin it until it's all the way compressed in. All right, we're gonna install our new pads now. Just to take note that the one with the notch in the back of it does go on the back side for our wear sensor. And before we install them, we just need to grease up the points where they go into the sliders. All right, we can put our caliper back over our new pads now. And reinstall our 14mm bolts that we took off. Now we have our new supplied brake wear sensor. We're going to plug it into our connector here. Take our bleeder cap off. Put that over. Put the cap back on. And then plug it into our rear pad. All right, now we can just repeat the same process on the other side. And then once you're done, take it out of parking brake service mode and then pump your brakes. All right, and that wraps up our install of our PowerStop OE replacement 6-lug brake rotor and pad kit for the front and rear for your 2019 and newer Silverado 1500. And remember, for everything Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.